Okay, so get this, a language model, right? Squeezed onto a phone, and it can basically do what ChatGPT does.
Wow.
It's true. We're talking near ChatGPT performance, but in a package, get this, small enough to fit in your pocket.
It's kind of wild, right? It really challenges that idea that AI always has to be these gigantic, power-hungry, system.
Right. That's exactly what we're diving into today, Microsoft's Phi 3 family of language models.
Yeah.
You sent over some research on this, and it's seriously cool how they got such impressive results from a model that's, well, not so massive.
Yeah, the key here is their focus on data quality, not just quantity.
Oh,
It's like they carefully crafted a training regimen, right, for this model instead of just force-feeding it
right.
a mountain of information.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does that actually look like in practice?
So instead of using tons and tons of raw web data, right, they heavily filtered it.
Okay.
And even used synthetic data created by other AI models.
Oh, wow.
So it's about picking the data that's specifically going to help Phi 3 develop reasoning skills.
So it's less about memorizing facts and more about learning how to think.
Exactly. They call this the data optimal regime. And to prove it works, they tested Phi 3 Mini,
Okay.
the smallest model in the family, on something called the MMLU benchmark.
Hold on. For those of us who don't speak fluent AI, what's the MMLU?
Think of it as an AI Olympics. It tests how well a model can handle
Oh, okay.
a whole bunch of different tasks like math problems, writing code,
Wow.
and even common sense reasoning.
So how did Phi 3 Mini score in this AI Olympics?
It scored a 69%,
Okay.
which is incredibly impressive because it puts it in the same league as models many times its size.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk real-world use. What can you actually do with this kind of power on your phone?
I mean, this opens up a whole world of possibilities. Imagine having a super smart AI assistant in your pocket that can help you write, research, even brainstorm creative ideas, all without needing an internet connection.
No internet. That's a game changer, especially for folks in areas with, limited connectivity. But how did they make a model this powerful so small?
They used a technique called quantization. It's a bit technical, but essentially they compress the model without losing much performance.
So like zipping a giant file down to a manageable size.
Exactly. And get this, they managed to get Phi 3 Mini running on an iPhone with an A16 chip at a speed of over 12 tokens per second.
Wait, so it can process language faster than I can speak?
Pretty much. And to give you an idea of just how small it is, the entire model fits into roughly 1.8 gigabytes of memory.
Wow.
That's less space than some mobile games take up.
That is seriously impressive. But with great power comes great responsibility, right? What about limitations or potential downsides?
You're absolutely right to bring that up. No AI is perfect, and Phi 3 is no exception.
So what are some of the things we need to be aware of?
Well, one thing is that even with this advanced training, Phi 3 Mini can sometimes, make mistakes or hallucinate, as the researchers call it.
Hallucinate.
Basically, it might generate information that isn't accurate.
Ah, so it's not a magic genie that knows everything perfectly. That makes sense. And I imagine there are still limitations when it comes to languages other than English.
That's another area where there's room for improvement. Phi 3 Mini is strongest in English right now. However, they are working on expanding language support, and Phi 3 Small, a slightly larger version, shows promise in being more multilingual.
Okay, so it's work in progress, but the potential is definitely there. What else? Anything else we should be cautious about?
Another limitation is that while Phi 3 Mini is great at reasoning and problem solving, it can sometimes struggle with tasks that require a vast amount of factual knowledge.
Okay.
Think of it as being brilliant, but a bit forgetful when it comes to trivia.
So it's like having a super smart friend who's terrible at remembering names and dates but can solve any logic puzzle you throw at them.
Exactly. But even that has a workaround. The researchers suggest pairing Phi 3 Mini with a search engine to supplement its knowledge base. They even give an example of using it with something called the Hugging Face Chat UI, which has built-in search capabilities.
That's clever. So it's like having a brilliant friend with access to Google at their fingertips. Speaking of expanding capabilities, let's talk about Phi 3 Vision.
Yeah.
This whole idea of combining language and image understanding is mind-blowing.
It really is a significant step forward. Phi 3 Vision builds upon Phi 3 Mini's language abilities and adds the power to understand and reason about images.
So it's not just recognizing objects, it's actually understanding the context and relationships within an image.
Precisely. It uses a technique called dynamic cropping to handle different image sizes and aspect ratios. Imagine it as being able to zoom in on the most relevant parts of an image.
That's so cool. What kind of tasks can it handle?
They tested it on a variety of benchmarks that assess its reasoning and perception capabilities. It performed impressively on tasks like natural image understanding, chart and diagram interpretation, and even PowerPoint comprehension.
PowerPoint comprehension. That's a superpower I could definitely use. Seriously, the potential applications in fields like medicine or engineering are huge.
Absolutely. Imagine doctors using Phi-3 vision to analyze medical images, or engineers using it to understand complex diagrams. The possibilities are incredibly exciting.
But I'm guessing there are still limitations or areas for improvement.
Of course, while Phi-3 vision is a major step forward, it can still face challenges when it comes to tasks that require very high-level reasoning. And sometimes it can generate outputs that aren't grounded in the information it was given, which could be a problem in fields like finance, where accuracy is critical.
So it might need a bit more real-world experience to refine its judgment.
You could say that they are planning to address this by incorporating more reasoning-focused data into its training and working on reducing those instances where it hallucinates information.
That makes sense. Now, with all this talk about AI and image understanding, it's hard not to think about the potential for misuse. Have they taken any steps to address safety and ethical considerations with Phi-3 vision?
Yes, definitely. They've incorporated what they call safety post-training and used specific data sets designed to promote responsible AI development. They even had an independent team evaluate Phi-3 vision's performance on various benchmarks, looking for any signs of harmful or biased behavior.
And what were the results of that evaluation?
The good news is that the safety post-training significantly improved Phi-3 vision's performance across all the benchmarks they tested. It's much less likely to generate harmful or biased responses compared to earlier versions.
That's reassuring to hear. But I imagine there are still challenges when it comes to ensuring these kinds of powerful AI models are used responsibly.
Absolutely. One challenge they pointed out is that even with all these safety measures, Phi-3 vision might still sometimes fail to avoid answering harmful or sensitive questions. For example, it could potentially be used to decipher certain CAPI-TCHA codes or describe images associated with scams.
So in a way, it's a bit too helpful for its own good sometimes.
Exactly. They think this might partly be due to its ability to perform OCR or optical character recognition, which is a useful skill but can also be misused.
I see. So finding the right balance between being helpful and avoiding harm is an ongoing challenge.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's something they're actively working to address as they continue developing Phi-3 vision.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive. Before we wrap up, I'd love to get your overall takeaway. What does the development of Phi-3 mean for the future of AI?
I think it really signals a potential shift in how we think about AI development, right? It suggests that maybe we don't always need to build bigger and bigger models to achieve groundbreaking results, right? This data-centric approach where the focus is on quality and carefully crafted training data could lead to, more efficient, accessible, and potentially even safer AI systems.
It feels like we're at a real turning point, right? It's not just about incremental improvements anymore. It's a whole new way of approaching AI.
Exactly. And it raises so many interesting questions like, what other areas of AI could benefit from this data-centric approach?
Yeah, you mentioned robotics in healthcare.
Right.
Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Well, imagine applying this data-centric approach to training robots for complex tasks.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on massive amounts of trial and error, what if we could curate highly specific data sets that accelerate their learning process and make them more adaptable?
That would be incredible. It would revolutionize industries like manufacturing, logistics, even things like elder care.
Right. And in healthcare, imagine using this approach to develop AI systems that can analyze medical images with even greater accuracy than we've seen so far.
Yeah.
It could lead to earlier diagnoses, more personalized treatments, and a whole new era of preventative medicine.
It's almost like we're on the cusp of a new renaissance in AI, right?
Yeah.
Where the focus shifts from brute force computation to a more refined, intelligent approach.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's a renaissance driven by data, where the quality and the way we use it becomes just as important, if not more so, than the sheer quantity.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive, and it feels like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have, and that's the beauty of this field,
Right.
It's constantly evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
To our listener, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Phi-3. It's been quite a ride.
And remember, this is just the beginning. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep an eye on the incredible advancements happening in the world of AI.
Until next time, stay curious.